Here we going? What's the deal here?
Nick and Alex are dicks
Right now the
with
theme song is blaring through my headphones.
I can hear the rest of us get headphones.
Nick and Alex are dicks with
I want
friends.
to be awful with headphones.
That's a ridiculous theme song, by the way.
And Alex are dicks with friends.
So, when it finally gets done,
It's not like they're all that.
Nick and Alex are dicks with friends.
placements of 2 words. It's supposed to be Alex and Nick are dicks with friends because it rhymes.
Right.
And he changed it
To what?
to Nick because he thinks Nick's more important than me, obviously. And he changed it to Nick and Alex. I had to change all the web addresses, the fucking artwork, because
You
he's
probably could
fucking
have just had him
retarded.
re-record.
So basically, Travis just trolled the shit out of you.
All
That's
right.
what you're
It
saying.
probably would have been easier to just have him re-record.
Talking to the microphone, Nick. Okay.
Why?
Because
It'll pick up. It'll be
It's
fine.
dynamic. It's not condenser. Okay, so we're here at Nick and Alex, our Dick with Friends podcast, with episode 2 with Mike Devine. I was supposed to. We never introduced ourselves, and even though the entire idea of this podcast is to convince people that uninteresting people that have never done anything with their lives are worth listening to on a podcast, we should introduce ourselves. We're Nick and Alex of Disabled and Mobfront Records.
Which means nothing.
Absolutely. So, we're here with Mike Devine. Mike Devine, tell the good people a little something about yourself.
Sounds
What
like he's
would,
gonna like sell you gorp or something, doesn't it?
I feel like I'm, all of a sudden a really important person, but in reality, no.
Well, Mike is a huge member of the lacrosse punk rock scene. You've always been around.
And by that we mean fat.
Yeah.
By huge, we mean enormous.
Fat Mike and I
Mike.
actually had a fist fight about which one of us was Fat Mike,
Now the first
and
time,
he won. But
how old were you the first time we met? You
The
must have been,
first time we
14,
met?
15?
probably 16.
Oh, okay.
I think I met Lizzie when I
Yeah.
was about 16.
Like she was your boss,
Yeah, she trained me for my first job at the
Yeah.
grocery store.
and then you happened to go to a punk rock show, and she was the bass player.
Yeah,
in
I
the band
picked a
herself.
punk rock show, and she just happened to be playing. She had said she was in one, never told me the name of them, and that was your first warehouse show.
Yeah, yeah.
After the horror at the Concordia Ballroom
Yeah,
that I wound up not being able to go to.
Yeah, well,
But-
you were fine missing the anal blast show.
Yeah,
That
I
was-
missed the Anal Blast
yeah.
show, so I missed the first official show.
That
but
was
I
it was a
think-
classic.
I think I've missed maybe like 3 shows since then, and
Yeah,
that was
no,
a decade ago.
Yeah, you've been at a lot.
So
of
I
them.
have spent way too much money going to the disabled.
Yeah, and at no point have we been any good.
So how did you get into punk rock? How did you get into this thing that you're so known for?
I really don't know. I had a couple actually cassette tapes as a kid, and
What were they?
just a couple mixes that I'd actually
Punk rock
found.
ones?
Yeah, I bought one actually at a thrift store when I was a kid,
Nice.
and that was my first.
He's too embarrassed to say what they are. It's My Morning Jacket or
It
something.
was My Morning Jacket.
No, not My
No,
Morning
that
Jacket.
would've been pre-My
Good
Morning.
Charlotte. No, what
Was
the
it Good
tapes?
Charlotte? What was on
The
the
tapes.
Yeah.
The first tape
Was it
that I
Fear?
ever had was it what?
Was it Fear?
I will stab you across the table. No, the first tape I actually bought was an Op Ivy cassette tape at a thrift store.
Nice.
So the very first punk rock tape that I ever remember owning was Op Ivy.
Like, how
Did
did
you fit
did
all
you
those
just?
songs on one cassette?
Yeah.
The Energy one?
Yeah.
Energy was a double-sided cassette.
Did you just think it like what? Did you just think that the guy looked cool? Why'd you decide to pick it up? Had somebody talk to you about?
I just picked it up and I was like, well, this looks like it's worth giving a listen to because I grew up on a steady diet before that point of 2 very different types of music. The side from my mom was 80s hair metal, like Great White,
Yeah.
shit like that, and
Appropriate word.
appropriate. Right, I've actually seen Great White live,
went to
by the
school
way.
with-
Nice.
And you went to school with a drummer? How is that possible? They're like 500 years old.
Yeah, no, in art school.
I think
Okay.
they probably They
I can-
switched out though, didn't they? And was he the original drummer?
Well,
or-
the 2 guys.
He would always just like, I don't like to talk about it, but I'll say one thing. Cocaine.
Well, the two guys when I saw them were like the founders, the guitarist and the singer, and they had been doing it at the time that I saw them, which was like 5 years ago. They had been together in Great White for 33 years, he said.
Jesus.
And I was like 23, so that was 10 years longer than I'd even been around.
So,
Point being,
having seen them and met them, would you describe yourself as being once bitten and twice shy?
Okay, so
no.
Okay, I know you replaced James in One Good Citizen.
And One Good Citizen with
Was
Taylor.
there any other bands that you were in?
No.
Because the weird thing about you is you've always been around. For the next podcast, I'm interviewing someone I've known forever, and I have 1,000 ideas what to talk about. I've known you forever. You're like an enigma. I have no idea. Like, I couldn't even say what you do. So you've played in at least one band. You were always around the Here's Johnny's guys. You've always been to every show. You've always known everyone. You're even allowed to know the Crust Punks.
Mm-hmm.
I am allowed to know the Crust Punks.
The Crust Punks who like make fun of us.
You're legit with the Crust Punks.
It's weird because the Crust Punks make fun of you guys because you're clearly not Crust Punks.
Exactly.
I get along with them pretty well.
What did they say?
Facts.
Alex, I don't think you're going to win that one. Anyway, no, I do actually get along with most of the Crust Punks, which is really weird because they absolutely terrify me.
Yeah.
Like, they are terrifying individuals.
Yeah, they can be. Where does Rich fall on the...
Old.
Just old?
Old. He's just old man Rich. Everyone knows
Yeah.
him. So
Yeah, because Rich was you before you.
Yeah,
the guy who was
Rich-
always there, never in a band, but always there, knew everybody, got down. He was hanging out with everybody.
I don't know if it's like, I'm getting to the point in my life. Like when I met Rich, he was about as old as I am now.
Yeah.
And I thought he was old
And he
then.
seemed old, yeah.
Which is funny because you were about that age
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I'm slightly older than Rich.
Right.
So, yeah.
But you were, actually a little younger than I am now when I met you. And you were an old man back then.
Yeah, yeah.
So my point
I'm
being
very
is,
old, man.
I am getting to that age in my life at the grand old age of 26. And I feel like I'm going the way of the rich. And I don't know if that's a great thing or a terrible thing.
You'd have to become more of a crabby dick all the time, and then you'd be more rich.
I don't know. If you ask Missy, I'm a pretty much a crabby old man. So
no, did I tell you about when Lizzie realized that her husband was almost 40 years old? It hadn't occurred to her. She was talking about a guy at work, and she said something when I was like, "Oh, so he's about my age." She was like, "Oh no, he's almost 40." I'm like, "Lizzie, I'm 37 in May." And she was like, "Oh." Son of a
God.
bitch. Yeah, no, I'm pushing 40 now. I'm old. Especially for punk. Because being around this scene past 30.
What is the official age you have to stop? Is it 40? Like, because you can play... was Rolling Stone music, could an old man play it?
Well, they do.
Like when they were
well,
new?
they do, yeah.
So.
Could an old man play it? So I don't know. How long can Rancid play? Because those guys got to be like 50.
Tim's right around 50, I believe. But when we saw him in September, they were still going like far harder than I do at 26.
Honestly, as long as the crowd keeps getting older, the people who remember them, we didn't all die, so I guess they're gonna keep going.
All right, Mikey. I want some top fives from you. First one is top 5 shows or places to go see shows in La Crosse. What are some? What are the best places? Because you've been to every show. Because you're always the one when there's a show I have to go to and everyone doesn't want to go. Like Andrew's band is playing a crust punk house in Winona. We'll probably get stabbed. Do you want to go? Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go. So what are the top 5 best shows you've
Ever.
been to?
Like in the entire time.
In La Crosse.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even ones that aren't still running, what are the best places you ever went?
Including venues or places that aren't still going, I would have to say number 1 was probably the 7th Street house with Here's Johnny. We had a band come up from Alabama they were friends with named Wildcat Revival.
I talked about this.
Yeah, we lost track of the people in the house at like 120.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that was not including the people outside.
That's a big house party.
Yeah, and that was crazy. We tore a cabinet off a wall. Anyway, that would probably be number 1 because there was just so many people. There was an Irish band there that night, and I watched a guy do a front flip and kick another dude in the face. It got really weird.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It'd be weird that there was violence at a Here's Johnny show because
Well,
that band was as far from violent as, you know.
And the guys, in the drummer's defense, the guy that kicked the other guy, the dude that got kicked was a douchebag. Like, he full well had this coming.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted it to happen, so nobody was really upset about it.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to run down Here's Johnny. They were good guys.
Yeah.
It was just always funny when we'd play shows with them because they'd come out and they had the tattoos and the mohawks and everything, and they play their
that's just
songs, which was like,
Justin.
they play their songs, which was like, yeah, heart-shaped locket. Like, we look like a bunch of douches, and we're like, you know, significantly more hardcore. We're not hardcore, but we're significantly more than they were. It was just always a funny dichotomy.
True.
So I just can't imagine that many real tough badasses being at a Here's Johnny show listening to Heart-Shaped Locket. But
When you
never know.
when you got a half a basement full
Yeah.
of Irish drunk punk
You're
dudes,
gonna run into it,
some
yeah.
weird shit happens.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
just say that.
You got any other absolute fantastic shows that you remember?
We did another show at a tiny little venue that became known as the Purple Onion because it was on Badger Street and 11th and Badger actually. It was a tiny little basement, and there was also like 100 people in this little basement.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like a band, like the Scotsmen played that show with it was Here's Johnny, us, One Good Citizen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we
I
played
didn't know
that show.
One Good Citizen were playing other
Yeah.
shows. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know
Well,
they
see,
did that.
we did a few. That
I knew
one
they did.
Oh,
was
you were in the band then?
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
that was actually
Yeah,
like
wait.
2 days after Taylor asked me to play bass, and I had never played with him before.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah, we will. So, anyway,
I still say that band really missed out on a naming opportunity because it was Taylor Force, Taylor Hesselberg, and James Deckard originally, and we tried so hard to convince them to name themselves James Taylor Squared.
I have no idea why they didn't.
This is the greatest name ever, but no, they went One Good Citizen.
Yeah, we should tell the story. We went on tour with One Good Citizen before.
Are we just leaving it at 2 venues then?
Yeah, I
we
didn't
said
know.
top
Did you
5?
think some more? I don't know. You seemed like spinning
If you
wheels,
don't,
like
if you
warehouse.
don't say warehouse, like Rich
Well,
and
there's-
Steve are going to drive
There's
here and
always
kick you
the
in the
warehouse,
ass. Yeah.
and I mean we've all been to like
Yeah.
500 amazing,
Like amazing
shows
at the
there.
warehouse, so that one's got to be.
So
in there.
I pretty much assume if you say music
Any-
scene in
yeah.
lacrosse, like the warehouse is just an assumption.
Any
that
bars? Any bars that are actually good to go to shows at? Because I've never been to one.
The Popcorn does a few good shows downtown.
Actually, I
they
can
got a
see
nice
that.
little
Yeah,
stage.
they got a decent stage. But like whenever I went into that stupid one, all right, somebody who's yeah, okay. I can't imagine a show at JB Speakeasy being good. A lot of people go, and evidently it does a good job. But I've
Well-
been in that bar, and it's like, I just don't know how.
I did actually go to a metal show there once.
It's usually metal shows.
Yeah,
But this is
that's become the metal bar in
yeah,
lacrosse. It's
because they
weird.
give them like 4 square feet.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
tiny
so-
little square.
Yeah.
But long story short, like right in front of the stage, there was like a pool table, which was weird. Because you have
Yeah.
like 2 feet between
Yeah.
the stage and the pool table. There was a really scary dude wearing a like denim like vest, and he had a giant.
Can
he had a
someone be
giant,
scary in a denim vest? Doesn't the
Yes.
denim vest make them
Okay,
not scary?
This guy also had like a 3 foot like long hair ponytail and a giant like Iron Maiden patch across the back. So I got really intimidated
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
show. We wound up taking off early, but long story short, like the show in that bar actually did sound pretty good.
Okay.
Like they did it well. It's just a weird venue.
Yeah, it
for
just
a
always
show.
seems like a bad space to try to
I
have
got
a show.
story about JV speaking. We went there with Crackhead Joe, my old friend
Yeah.
Crackhead Joe, and Jeremy the hippie. And I remember we were playing pool, and this guy was obviously hustling us. Like he was obviously losing or whatever, and we knew that he was like hustling. So we started just shooting balls all over. And he's like, "Oh, you guys win next game. I'm gonna play for money." And we're like, "No." He's like, "You're playing for money." and we're like, "We're not fucking doing that. We know you're hustling us." "Well, I'm not." And he slams him. "I'm not hustling." And he's like, "I'll take you on right now." And I'm like, "You're hustling us, dude." And there's 3 of us. But anyway,
And you being
the
pissed
day
off. just
before,
makes
the
sense.
day after, Jeremy the hippie came up. He's like, "Dude, Crackhead Joe was doing crack in the bathroom." I'm like, "Well, yeah." Yeah.
Well, he is
Probably.
Crackhead Joe.
And I'm like, "What, did you see it?" He's like, "Yeah, I saw it. I didn't know what to do." I'm like, "Well, what did you do? Did you talk to him?" He's like, No. I did some crack.
Because why wouldn't you?
Huh.
It's there.
Alright.
Aw. Mikey sent a very adorable picture of my daughter to my wife, and she just sent
It was called the
reply.
Ellie fly.
Yeah. Mikey's like, well, I don't know if we talked about this in our punk rock podcast. No, Alex put her up in her blanket, and it turned her into a little cocoon, and it was pretty adorable.
Yeah, and then she
Yeah.
just pooped. Well, okay.
She pooped a lot.
This podcast has been delayed an hour and a half because, well, we had to eat something. But then Nick thought he set his house on fire, so he had to drive back to his house, and we had the baby, and she pooped so much.
It was
It was just an unending amount of poop.
Yeah, I'm just gonna because that's Tuesday for me. That's every day.
Tuesday's a bad
Do
day.
either of you feel like an unending amount of poop is a good song title?
The worst, the
Because
worst part.
I feel like that just happened.
Did she keep pooping after you took the diaper off? Because that's the worst. 'Cause then you have to see it. It's super
But
gross.
I had to inspect every inch of her.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
'cause to
kept
clean it
smelling
off and
like
everything,
poop, and
yeah.
you knew there was poop somewhere.
It's super
And
gross.
then she was like rolling it. Oh, God,
Yeah, she keeps trying to roll away. She's been doing that.
So
You need two people. One person has to distract her while the other.
This is like a two-man
Otherwise,
operation.
she'll just keep rolling. It's really a pain. The one time I had her legs in the air and she tried to roll and she ended up like dangling in the air, like face down, like from my hands, like screaming and waving her arms.
Was she
around.
pooping upside down?
No, she had stopped
that-
pooping by
is
that
that
point, but I
possible?
was still like cleaning
You
her
poop
off.
upside
And
down?
Lizzie walked into the room. She was like,
What
"What
happened?"
in the hell are you doing right now?"
I just want to say at this point, Lizzie, if you're listening to this, I am very sorry.
She's not listening to it. She has better things to do.
Anyway, off the poop subject.
So you joined One Good Citizen right at the height of insanity with that band. Because we should. This is the appropriate time to tell the oh my god, we almost got killed by Crosse punks in Milwaukee show. So we're on tour with One Good Citizen before Mikey joined.
I should note that there's understood quotations around tour.
Well, we played.
It was the dog days of
Yeah,
summer,
yeah.
Nick.
But I mean, like-
well, yeah,
like,
you make a poster. It's real.
A week traveling around Wisconsin is probably not a tour to a lot of people.
We played a show, Andrew's house in Milwaukee, and when we contacted Andrew about the show, he's like, "Yeah, I can't wait. Oh, me and none of my friends are gonna be there." Like, all right. It's like this dude.
Knowing
is gonna
Andrew,
run the show.
it's immediately.
So
a
we
good
get up
thing.
there, and One Good Citizen plays. They played well, and we played to absolutely no one.
No, that's not true. That is not what happened. You're forgetting, because One Good Citizen played to nobody, and they played well. And then we got on. There was no one there. We started playing. I remember you saying like, it's fine. It'd be like a practice. So we played, and about 3 songs in, the entire room filled with like creepy, like terrifying crust punks. They listened to like one song, and then they all left.
Oh yeah.
And
I
then-
forgot, I can't believe I forgot about
And then
that.
the entire room filled up again with an entirely different group of creepy crust punks. Listened to one song and then left. And then a third time it filled up, and we're like, there is a lot of fucking people here. And when we finally finished the show to nobody, we went outside, and the entire lawn is full of terrifying people, like smoking crack and beating the shit out of each other.
And the scariest crack smoking dude walks up to me. "We're using your shit tonight." Like, all right.
Yes.
Just insanity. Just the gnarliest dudes. Heroin
he was terrifying, but
circles
he was
and-
actually really, really nice about using our stuff. The Atrocities dude was perfectly nice about that.
No, the Atrocities guy was perfectly nice.
yeah,
Ill-advised was not perfectly nice.
Well, because we'd gotten there and they had a PA. And they were saying, we got a PA. Well, so you don't need, because we brought a PA because we'd played shows before, and we know that when somebody says they have a PA, there isn't
don't have
necessarily
a
a PA. So we show up and they're like, no, we got a PA, and they took it out. And the PA was a amp from a car that had been like hardwired into like some inputs, and that was then wired into like some shitty like household speakers, and there was one microphone that was duct taped to a broom handle, and the broom handle was duct taped to an old keyboard stand. And when you talked into it, it was like, no, it sounded
That sounds
horrible.
awesome,
But
or
it's-
like, small fire hazard.
Yeah, and it sounded so fucking terrible. They were like,
dudes
we'll bring in
with
the PA.
swastika tattoos,
And that was when
smoking crack.
Yeah, and then
It
they
was
were
just
like,
the gnarliest
yeah, so like we are going to be using this stuff, and they all advised because I didn't talk to the Atrocities guys were super nice. They're like, we're so sorry, but we didn't have, because they were terrifying and they were high as hell, but they were.
As long as
and they were like, can we
nice.
use
They were
this stuff?
offering you women.
That was later. That was after, because then the guys, one of the guitar amp broke for them, so they asked if I could use the guitar. But at that point, because people had been talking about how nice our equipment was and how they sure would like to have that equipment, and we're like following us around. So we're like, we parked.
We have to bring up. We had people We
Yeah,
had
we parked the
software
equipment van.
engineers
Yeah.
with us to see our show because
Yeah.
they knew us. And that night turned into one good citizen behind the PA system holding up the PA because they were slam dancing into the PA, so they were
Yeah.
holding that up. We had our engineer friends watching our van and every once in a while moving the van because there was dudes
What?
circling the van that were going to rob it. Then
Yeah.
we're, as the bands are siphoning through, we're trying to get equipment out, and like the drunkest fucking dude at the party, he's like 9 feet tall.
Is this the guy that
this
Nick
dude,
almost
this
killed?
gnarliest dude. Nick has
I had the drum
hardware,
hardware.
the hardware case over his shoulder, and it would just we're trying to beeline stuff as hard as we can, as fast as we can between bands, so they A, don't notice we're taking shit out, and B, so when this show's done or when the cops come,
You're
we're
gone.
a full-on
Yeah.
fight because there was a fucking
There was
punk
nearly
rock
a brawl.
gang fight,
Yeah, yeah.
dude. Because the Kenosha guys were covering ill-advised. So every time we would go outside, ill-advised.
No, the
a huge
Avoided.
Milwaukee
They were covering Avoided.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so Ill-Advised was covering Avoided, which is a Milwaukee band. The singer just died, and they're from Kenosha. So the Milwaukee guys, as soon as they're done, we're gonna fucking get them. And that's all we're hearing. We're like, we are in the middle of hell right now. So he has the hardware case over his shoulder, square, turns a corner, and went straight into this fucking monster of a dude. Like, and the whole place just, like the heroin den
And I
stuff
was like,
talking.
I'm trying to decide whether I should
And
just fucking
we're
run.
just like, what? The guy's just like, sorry, dude. And walks right by. And Nick's like, fine. Okay.
We're done.
Now, this whole show was absolute hell. And of course, they're not going to like us. Like, because there's just no way.
Oh, I got to get to the atrocities guy with the guitar amp because their amp broke and he asked if we could use it, but our shit was parked like 3 blocks away to avoid the people who'd been fucking trying to steal it all night. And so I had to run 3 blocks to get the guitar amp and ran back with it. And then, because they were playing and they needed it, and the dude was like, "Oh, thank you so much. Like anything you want tonight, man. You want some crack? I can give some fucking crack. You want heroin?" He's like, "You want women? The girl right over there." I was like, "Dude, I am married and sober."
That's my
so
wife.
Oh,
so
we
we're
should
not
point out,
doing any
'cause
of this.
We're afraid someone's going to get beat up. Like, Taylor Hesselberg was going to get beat up. Like, that was our number one thing. I told Taylor 3 times, if someone starts a fight with you, let him punch you in the face. I was like, just let him. Do not,
Yeah.
because everyone wants to beat you up right now.
Yeah,
And
it was so hard not. This kid fell and there was broken glass all over the floor because people were just smashing bottles, and he fell and he was just cut to shit. And I helped him up, and I'm like, "You all right, man?" And he like pushes me. He's like, "I'm fine, fag." And he's like, "I broke my fucking beer," and like, I wanted to just kill him because I'm trying to help him out. He's like pushing me around and like spitting on me. And but I really like you realize there's like 40 guys here are looking to kick your ass. So you just
everyone has
let
black
it go.
T-shirts on. This is my favorite. This is my number one memory. Nick had one of those like Kmart shirts that said "serial killer" with a bowl of cereal. He had that right in the middle of this fucking room of nutcases with swastikas. He's like, "Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, we're here for the book club." But I mean, so horrible night. Somehow, well, the only reason we didn't get our ass kicked was that they knew that we knew the people that owned the house. That was the only reason we didn't get our ass kicked, because they knew that this is a place to play. That was it. You know, if it would have been like their house, they would have kicked the shit out of us. But so we're back at the van. We know we made it, and it's like fucking 5 in the morning or something, just insane. And this dude comes up, and I'm like, oh god, all right. He was with Ill-Advised, and I'm totally outing him to his friends. But they're never gonna hear this. So he came up to us and he's like looking around, and I'm like, we are gonna get fucking robbed right now. And he's looking over his shoulder and he's like, hey, my friend thinks you're fags. But I heard you guys before, I totally like you. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what? And I gave him like all the CDs, and he's like, oh, thanks a lot. I gotta get back to my dudes. And I watched him go down the sidewalk, and he was looking at the CDs, and his friend yelled to him, and he threw the CDs into the bushes because he can't like the douchebag band that writes melodies. So, yeah, that's that story. Now, here's the funny thing. No one's gonna believe that. We visited Steve Albini's recording studio in Chicago. And we got the tour, and the house engineer guy, we were telling that story to, because it wasn't that far between. And you could tell he wasn't buying it. He's like, yeah, I didn't think that happened since like 1986 and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, no, we lived it. And no one believes it. Yeah. It's a full-on insane crust punk scene.
Yeah, there's still those scenes
Oh,
are still out there.
It's all over.
And
down
we are
there.
not the band who should be playing those shows. That's all. We are just not that band.
We're way too old
We're
for
too
that.
old, and maybe when I was younger, I wasn't cool enough for
It's
that.
a whole different
it's a whole
ball
different
game.
ethic, and like all of the Atrocities, they were super nice guys, but every song was like "kill a cop," That's really just not my thing. So they were really nice. I give them credit. Like, won't say anything bad about them. They were super nice guys. Ill Advised were just, I don't know. They
Terrifying.
Well, they barely even spoke. Like they were just drunk and pissed off, and didn't bring any equipment to the show they were playing. So it's just that kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's shocking that more stuff didn't get trashed and we didn't get our asses kicked. But yeah.
Yeah, so
No, there was it was a contact high just being in that room.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much fucking shit going on.
So I mean, it basically goes to say, Mikey, you're one of the most important dudes in the punk rock scene. I mean, no, everyone get along. You're the ambassador for us to the rest of the punk rock scene.
Would you say he's the straw that stirs the drink?
Absolutely.
Is Mikey the straw that stirs the drink?
Is there anything else you want to mention, Mikey?
Off the top of my head, no.
Nope. Not
No.
looking for a job or looking to have a wild night. Got a party.
I'm too old for that shit.
All right. Well, we're gonna transition here. What was the song you want to play in between your transition? What you want? What you want, baby?
I am actually thinking we're gonna listen to "Poison" by Rancid.
We're gonna play Poison by
I was hoping it was
Rancid.
actually Poison. I was hoping we were going to get Talk Dirty to me up in here. That would have been awesome.
All right. Well, we're playing Poison right now. All right.
Or Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. That girl is poison. Poison. It's a long-term plan. Like Lizzie wants to go to Seattle and do a Frasier tour. Like go to all the places that were in the TV show Frasier.
What else are you gonna do? Like,
Well, cool people go to let's see where Nirvana played and stuff. We're
my
gonna.
point is, like, what are you gonna do? Go tour
Yeah.
the local hipster
Yeah,
delis
exactly.
and coffee shops, or what?
Nope. We're gonna go see Frasier.
This is Alex. This is Nick and Alex. Travis fucked it up. Our dicks with friends.
Why don't we just have Alex redo the lyrics?
This is. I changed everything already. For
Then
fuck's
we'll
sake.
Change it all
Alex
back.
and-
Episode 2.
Alex and Nick sound.
We got just done.
I mean, I
talking-
am more important than you.
We just got done talking to. Can you clear that? I can't subtract that. Can you? Mikey's got a counter up to. We got to keep track how long these things are.
You're at 25
We're
and a
talking with
half.
Mike Devine, punk rock legend of La Crosse, Wisconsin. We just got done with his interview, and we're gonna do our topic section. This week's topic. What was it?
Growing old.
Oh,
Yeah,
things we found startling with age.
All right.
And we're trying things a little bit different. Instead of each bringing something, we're going to try to make this into a section. So we're going to start with
freewheeling
Nick.
discussion.
Yeah, well, Nick was saying basically. What were you saying?
Okay, what really shocked me growing up, like getting old, because I always assumed that it really wouldn't affect me that much. I wouldn't be one of those old guys complaining about the young kids that much, because I always hated what other people liked. I was never like. So I figured it wouldn't be anything new to me disliking like the kids' music, because I've always disliked most people's music. But the really surprising part is finding out that I actually could get more alienated from the cultural zeitgeist. I could get more separated from the which what it's been. What I've realized is in the old days, I didn't like what other people liked. Like I didn't like Poison or Motley Crue or what have you, but I understood why they liked it. You know, it was pop music. It was simple music, like catchy, about fucking simple, easy. You know, you get why people were into it. Now I don't even understand why people like what they like. Like we've got this culture of pop musicians where they're making music that it's still lowest common denominator, simplistic, corporate fluff, but at the same time it's deliberately unpleasant to listen to.
In the world where
it's not even
Motley Crue
catchy.
makes more sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make it. You listen to it. It's not even just music. Like I do not have any idea why people like Breaking Bad. That's an unpopular opinion. I understand that, but I can't get past season 2 because you've always had TV shows that were just entertaining, laugh track fodder. It was just funny, and then you had a TV show that was darker, but there was like a point to it. It was showing some larger social phenomenon or making a point about like something bad in the world, or it was about like showing someone's redemption. But Breaking Bad would be like if in Boys in the Hood, if Cuba Gooding Jr. would have not only gone with Ice Cube to shoot those people, would have also killed Ice Cube and started a gang to take over L.A. and himself ended up getting shot. And then that would have been the end of the movie. It just would have been just unpleasant and depressing, and there would have been no point in the show. And that's what Breaking Bad was, because he was he was an
he
dies.
He dies.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is
he just keeps selling
he
drugs.
Gets bigger and bigger. He gets bigger and bigger. His empire starts to crumble, and this is all stuff I've read. And these other people move in and kind of take over his empire. And these other people come to take, and then he comes back and gets revenge on them and kills all of them and gets killed in the process.
More so, like as you watch like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt, but like what I found is we watched it is that the story to me progressively went away from Walter White towards the end of it. He's obviously still the main
Jesse
character,
more?
but my focus became more towards Jesse.
Okay.
Because
is there like some redemption there or something? Okay.
Jesse becomes like a redemption story.
Okay. Because then that's a reason to watch it.
If you watch it from that perspective and not just
because I'm watching it's just like, well, this is an awful human being,
right?
Being awful,
right?
And at no point does anything get better.
Like, that seems to be the cultural thing.
Yeah.
Is that awful people being awful? There is,
and that alone is supposed to be
entertaining. Any
entertaining.
redeeming qualities?
Yeah. Is there anything good about the music or the reality of Kanye
Because
West?
they're the biggest thing.
He's terrible.
If you're gonna name the biggest stuff in pop culture, it'd be Kanye, Breaking Bad.
And Kanye,
Twilight.
he's not only an awful human being.
Miley Cyrus.
His music is just
none
horrendous.
of this. Okay, I understand that all those pop artists, none of their music, like none of them have like Wrecking Ball. I mean, sing a line of Wrecking Ball. I mean, it's not important. We're Nirvana songs. Everyone knows "Smells Like Teen Spirit." They'll remember Miley Cyrus, but they won't remember her songs, which is fucking insane. But there's no redeeming quality.
Even if it's about cult of personality, their personalities are terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible people. And I just
at that point,
are the kids even into this?
I don't know. And I
Who's
was
into Kanye?
I honestly I don't know why anybody would be. Yeah. And I was trying to I'll look up like when they talk about somebody being a great lyricist, and this is older, but it's still one I was trying to figure out. Like people called great lyricists. I was looking up Nas. And like he's supposed to be one of the great rap lyricists of all time, and his lyrics are stupid, just flat out stupid. They don't go anywhere. They don't mean anything. They were like, oh, they're these great detailed stories. No, they're not. They're really simplistic. Oh, this guy got rich and then got shot. It's terrible. Like New World Water alone makes Mos Def a better lyricist than Nas. But nobody. No,
well,
it's like at some point in my life, somebody redefined the word good, what good means, and I don't know anymore. I can't figure out what people are talking about when they say it's good.
I would say it went from good became more of a meaning as just entertaining.
Yeah, when they say
it doesn't have to be good to be entertaining.
When they say somebody's a good lyricist
I mean,
these
you
days,
could just take Miley Cyrus, paint her in clothes, some sort of like painted on thing, and throw her out there with that.
It just seems like when somebody says somebody's a good lyricist, what they mean is that they can craft kind of a heavy-handed, like macho tough guy line occasionally. And that's what they consider a good lyricist. Like the Nas one, I was looking up like his 50 best lyrics, and they were talking about these brilliant songs. And like the one song was, a lyric was like, "I never sleep because sleep is the cousin of death." Like that's stupid. That's a stupid line. Or Jay-Z, "I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one." That's dumb.
That
it's
line
macho
sounds like
bullshit.
Like a modern Bob Dylan, a throwaway lyric.
Yeah,
That's like one of his best lines.
But at the same, and then at the same time, like Mos Def, Chuck D have written, like to me, good lyrics means incisive, thoughtful commentary on a real world problem, either personal one or political, social problem, but like actual incisive, thoughtful commentary on this issue. That to me is good lyrics. Evidently, that's not what other people mean when they say good
thing
lyrics.
in hip hop. First, I've been told by hip hop fans liking Public Enemy means you don't like hip hop.
Yeah, I
like,
guess
it just means that those two things are completely different. But the way I see hip hop is progression now is that the Dirty South music got so big, like that is the pretty much what. Like, well, Outkast is put in there, but I would say Outkast was doing their own thing. But like the 36 Mafia sound, I think that they were Dirty
36,
South.
yeah,
36 Mafia, and like the kind of like club music, they were known for that.
We
club
just
music.
outed ourselves as super old by saying 36 Mafia.
So it sounds like the Dirty South music is kind of, and I would describe that as like almost annoying. I remember I was trying to pinpoint the first time I heard that specific thing I find annoying, but usually it's like they'll find one hook line, like na 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 na, and the whole song will be that hook line all the way through, and it almost seems like they purposely make it annoying. And I remember this, what is the Jermaine Dupri. He was the first guy I heard a song that I was like, the hook is annoying. And it seems like that has progressed with the Dirty South, and that's modern hip hop. Like that Dirty South club side of stuff with the annoying annoying hook. The other side of hip hop was basically
I've been told that there's still that stuff
Midwest,
out there, that conscious sort of
the
stuff.
The Midwest white kids, so like Atmosphere is the most popular one, and what is the name? Cage Francis, I believe, is one. There seems to be those two things. Like the mainstream hip hop is the Dirty South sort of club music, and then the Midwest sort of sound.
And I get what Mikey was saying, but there's always been a separation between entertaining and good. Mm-hmm. Like nobody ever mistook. Like they might have enjoyed like Motley Crue or whatever, but nobody mistook Motley Crue for like Bob Dylan. There was always a difference between something that was entertaining and something that was good.
Taking, absolutely.
And it's gotten
as art.
And it's gotten to this, and it's gotten to the point where it's not only that they're taking it like that, but you are treated like an asshole for having a standard in what you listen to. Like you're considered like a pretentious shithead if you say that it's boring that somebody's just talking about fucking again. You know, there isn't anything better that you could. That it's wrong to hold anybody like the worst thing you can be in modern culture is a hater. You know, but it's critique is not bullying. You know, there's nothing wrong with holding your media to a reasonable, decent standard. Like asking for somebody to actually matter.
Well,
like what they're talking about.
Apparently there is everything wrong.
You
with
can be an
holding them to a
entertainer. There's
standard.
nothing wrong with that, but don't call yourself something more. Like if all Kanye West did was like, if all anybody ever said about Kanye West was that he makes danceable, fun music, I don't get it because I don't like to dance. Fine, whatever. But they keep talking about him like they were specifically referred to him as a genius artist, and he simply is not. He has precisely as much social relevance and cultural relevance as David Lee Roth. He talks about chicks, drugs, and the fact that he can afford expensive clothes. That's it. He is exactly as important as David Lee Roth, but they talk about him like he's a genius.
I would only have to say that David Lee Roth would be more important simply because of the spandex factor. So,
but nobody ever.
I listen to Van Halen on the radio, and normally I immediately turn it off. Mm-hmm. But I realized I've never heard anyone before or since sing like David Lee Roth. Like
he had his own style.
And then laughing at his own lyrics and shit. That's pretty awesome.
I don't know if
brought
David Lee Roth can sing like David Lee Roth.
Diamond Dave.
There's evidently a thing you can go to where they just have isolated vocal tracks for songs on the internet, and evidently the most fun ones you can see are like David Lee Roth with no music around him. And I'd imagine that has to be the funniest thing.
This is a good point to point out Nick's undying love of the Eruption guitar solo.
Oh yeah. Good lord, it's just
he's been practicing that for years.
Here's my thing. Like,
all right.
I immediately think the J.J. Abrams what he did to Star Trek, because he basically said, "Hey, I love Star Trek. That's great. I don't do that. I'm going to dumb it down as much as possible."
Well,
I'm not
Although
gonna
he
do
actually
anything
didn't love. He knew nothing, cared nothing about Star
Right.
Trek.
Well, I'm sure he said that he loved it. so
he
didn't
turned
get
it into
murdered.
a
Star
dumbed
Wars.
down
Yeah.
action
Wars.
flick.
He took
Okay,
Star Trek and
here's
turned it
the
into
problem.
Star Wars.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek was always the thinking one. Star Wars was laser
Cowboys
swords.
and
Because who doesn't like laser swords? I mean, I do, but Star Trek had social commentary. He took all that out.
Now, what
Right.
I'm thinking is, if you look through music or movies or whatever of history, like, usually what's popular is absolute garbage. Like, if you look at the 60s, like, the Archies were the #1 song during the Vietnam War, the fucking Archies. Like, during, like, when
Yeah.
Rolling Stones were at their best, and Jimi Hendrix and all those people. So, if you look back through the 50s and all that time, a lot of mainstream art was garbage. So, are we just taking art that much more seriously now? Where it's always been like this. There's always been
The thing
retards
is,
doing
it
retards.
has always been
we
like
pay
that.
more
Take it more
attention to it
serious
now.
now.
No, what bothers me about it is, yes, it's always been like this, but as a culture, we were the ones drawing the distinctions. The listening culture were the ones saying, this is just fun, this is serious. Like, this is just goofy Archies.
It's
this
just a
is
couple
this is
magazines, though.
yeah.
So-
But I'm saying
they're retarded.
I'm saying those people don't exist anymore.
So are you-
It's not out there anymore.
The
Everyone
pundits, the social commentary saying this is crap is
are
no
not there
longer
anymore. Yeah,
that
we've
voice.
all fallen in line because
What could
because
possibly
as a
have
culture.
formed that?
I think part of it, and 99% of the time I would say that this has been a good thing, is that the internet, which gave rise to consequence-free bullying and cruelty, has also begun to create sort of a groundswell against bullying and cruelty in our culture. So, like, the worst thing you can be, like I said, is a hater. And 99% of the time, that's a great thing because it means we'll have a younger culture that grows up not attacking somebody who's gay or looks different or chubby or whatever. And that's great. But in the context of media, of music or TV shows, it's good to have some criticism. It's good to have somebody calling these, because public figures, wealthy figures, frequently have a problem with self-awareness. And they assume that they're geniuses just because they're famous. And it is our job to hold them to a standard, to hold them accountable. I would say it's our job as the public to say, no, we want something more out of what's being.
I would agree with that.
And that has become unfashionable to ask for that. It's become... Yeah.
To have your own opinion has become unfashionable, or
To have a negative opinion. You can have your own opinion. You're
as
only
long as you don't
I think
disagree
there's
with what
something
the
there, because the
It's-
90s it was so cool to be negative all
Yeah.
the time, but we had better art.
we went too it was so cool to be negative all the time. We went too far. I'll admit it. We did probably have better art, but we did also get thoroughly up our own ass. And it just meant meant that as a culture we moved so far away from that.
Is Kanye's popularity based solely on we went too far?
Yeah,
in the
it's a
90s? Is
pendulum
that it?
swing.
We went
Yeah.
too far in the 90s.
Maybe that's exactly it. It's a
Wow.
pendulum swing back the other way.
Nirvana caused Kanye.
Kurt Cobain has a lot to answer for.
This
Hello,
is the part of
Ellie
the
Bean.
show we're joined by Ellie Bean. She pooped.
she's got a lot of things to say.
Incredible amount.
Did,
Did
she
she
poop
poop?
again, or
No, she just
Just
wanted to come
joining
down and
us.
say hi.
I should probably take some time to say what I was talking about. The thing
Yeah,
I
yeah.
found most startling in age is how unimportant a single individual is. And what I'm not saying is like your life is worthless and meaningless. It's just I had a friend tell me a story once that he was using a computer to do some sort of schoolwork or something, and another one of his friends just came up to him and just demanded to use a computer for his own entertainment. And what I realized was I know both those guys, and one of the guys always been unhappy his whole life. Everything has always been an issue and can't keep anything working, and it's because he truly believes that he is important and entitled to something. And I seriously think that if he would just take the time to realize I'm not entitled to anything, and that other people's opinions mean just as much as mine, everything would get better. Like, he would no longer have issues with girlfriends or with friends not doing exactly... You didn't drop everything to do whatever I wanted? Are you kidding me? And when you realize that, I'm not important unless I make myself important to my community. And that's what people should strive for. You shouldn't strive to get whatever you want. You should strive to do whatever you can for the people you care about.
Yeah.
Which is a very valid point, but, looking at it from a perspective like mine, I'm a few years under you guys. Growing up, we were always told, you can basically have anything you want.
And you can.
And
it's
true
it's
that
insane to... Okay, you can do whatever you want. You can literally have whatever you want as long as the detail... That's falling. As long as the details don't bother you, right? If you want to make $1 million, you can make $1 million.
Which is true, but
you're just going to have to be...
You have to be willing to sacrifice everything. And I'm not saying sacrifice your free time or work hard.
But
It's
sacrifice your
integrity,
health,
your friendships, everything. If you're willing to give up everything for one little thing, you can get it. Now, you will never be the CEO of the Dallas Cowboys or something, but you might be able to run a football.
I will say part of what Mikey experienced growing up was something that I didn't, because you grew up during the greatest period of economic growth and prosperity in the history of our country.
Very true.
And it really felt like people sincerely believed. Fukuyama wrote the book The End of History at that time, claiming that this was the end of all important things that were ever going to happen in history. From here on out, it was just going to be prosperity and wealth forever. He said this was the end of history, which was absurd, obviously. The things that go up come down. And it was ridiculous to think that we were all done, that we had one history, and now it was just going to be America forever. It was a ridiculous thing to think. But people legitimately thought that way. When you read about Fukuyama and what people actually thought at that point, a lot of the policies of that era make sense, and a lot of how we raised children in that era starts to make sense, because we did raise kids to think that way, and it's an absurd way to think. But we sincerely thought it was never going to go down, that that our economy was going to keep growing, we were going to keep being, it was just going to be more and more prosperity for everyone for always. And whereas I grew up in the 80s, Reagan era malaise, and so it was a lot of like, the Russians are coming to bomb us into the Stone Age. Like, there was a lot more paranoia, and that kind of gave. So we didn't really have that so much. And I would imagine the kids who are coming up now, in the somewhat rougher economic climes, when they get like the kids who are like, 6 or 7 now, 20 years from now, might have some. We'll have an entirely different perspective on the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
I'm sure.
That's like the new hip thing to talk about is the millennials.
Yeah.
And how they're liberal, but they don't vote liberal. And
and the millennials have
they
gotten
won't drive. And the Ford is losing their mind.
I found that the millennials are the first generation to get past what I think of as the Altamont hangover, because Altamont was the end of the '60s. It was the end of and the '60s were the last time it was fashionable to be naive, to say give peace a chance, and all those ridiculous things that the hippies said, and after it fell apart in Altamont because Woodstock worked. Everybody got together, did for free, hung out, watched some music, and there wasn't a horrible disaster. There should have been. 250,000 people in a field with no food should have been a disaster, but it wasn't. Altamont was, which then forced the hippies it forced that same pendulum swing, where for the next 20
Which
years...
I think formed punk rock. I think that's a thing.
Absolutely did. And for 20 years, it became fashionable to be cynical and angry and say everything's bad and everything's going to be bad. And that was where my generation was at that, like, everything is shit, which was ridiculous. And now it's swung back to the point where the millennials are the first generation where it's kind of cool to believe that things are going to get better again, and to think that we can change the world and we can, to all of these things. Like when I was a kid, talking about like actually making the government better and stuff like that, or even voting was like a
ridiculous.
Joke. It was a joke. Like, fuck it, who cares? They're all assholes. And that's like people actually like that's why they started doing protests and stuff again. Is because they actually believed they can. We didn't believe we were going to change the world. We didn't think that was possible. We believed that the world was going to be shit forever. The whole Occupy Wall Street and all that was because people believe again that they can really change that.
I want to say that your ideas are totally justified in modern scholars. They're saying that people, the millennials are incredibly positive. Ironically, they say that the millennials don't trust anyone. So I mean, I guess they learn
because they have it's a different form of hippies. It isn't as naive as the hippies were, but it's back to what you don't like. She loves consumer electronics. It's one of her favorite things.
So yeah, I mean, basically,
we do move forward as a people, as a species. We move forward, so we learn.
With what we were saying, what do you guys think about the entitlement issue might be vanishing?
Yeah. Probably will.
Yeah.
As insufferable as I find the millennials, and I do,
See,
they're
I'm not-
probably
Well, I
they're probably
actually
just
don't know if I find them
they're
insufferable.
probably less insufferable than my people were at 16.
See, I think the biggest problem with like my generation, you know, the ones that came right after you guys.
By the way, we're millennials, Mikey.
Yeah, I
you
know.
two are right.
Also-
You two are right on the border with millennials. So,
By
whereas
By the
I
way,
was on
the
the very
span of
end
millennial is like
Yeah.
17 to whatever the hell we want it to be for this
Right.
particular
Okay. So
article.
we'll say.
Yeah,
we'll,
I was right on the end of.
We'll
Gen
gear
X.
this. We'll gear this more towards Nick, like
Yeah.
end of Cold War, that kind of
Yeah.
Reaganism era. My point I was trying to make is like at my age, I hear a lot of the kids actually saying, you know, well, we were always told growing up, we do this, we get this, we deserve this.
Yeah.
Because I go from A to B, I go to college, get my degree, I automatically get that job, you know.
See, and that started.
That
was-
is a 90s.
Yeah, that
idea.
started being taught when I was there.
Right.
But nobody believed it.
Right, but
we didn't actually
the
think
problem
that was
is
gonna
by the
happen.
time the group of kids I went to school with came
People
around,
really believed it.
that was firmly accepted.
Yeah, yep.
Now, what I'm coming to terms with and understanding is that idea was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, all of these kids grew up thinking, all I have to do is this, and I am owed this
Absolutely.
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, let me. Okay. So we're all settled that the X generation, the XY generation, the early millennials were convinced that they deserve something. There was an entitlement issue. Okay. Now we know why they got it. Guidance counselors, this everything they got.
Right.
But what was the thing that made them? The people telling them that. What was it? Was it the '80s boom in the economy?
The night, yeah, that we sincerely believed that was true.
Well, I think
But
it
we
was.
believed that we were.
What was the thing that made us form?
I
Is
would-
it post-baby boomer generation? Was it the baby boomers said, "Look, we won the war, we got jobs, our kids are going to have everything"? Is that what it
Well,
was?
I think
And that there was that, and then the economic and technological boom of the '80s and '90s that really, honestly, made it seem possible that we were going to
Well,
keep
just
getting
look at
richer
how far
forever.
things went in, you know,
Yeah.
the span of a decade and a half.
Yeah.
From 1980, we'll go all the way up to 1995.
Like the world changed so much
It-
that it just seemed.
It was
Anything
almost
possible.
Yeah.
Right.
If you go to college, you'll get a $100,000 a year job.
Yeah.
And
And-
then you can still complain that you only got a $100,000 a year job.
right.
And instead, we've regressed to the mean as a culture, and we've gotten back to where you just have to have a job. You aren't necessarily going to have your dream job, and it's been a problem. People accepting that, but we'll get there.
So,
you know.
the baby boomers gave us the feeling of entitlement. What are we going to give our children? Is it just jadedness? Are we forming another punk rock clique? Another punk rock generation? What are we
I hope
going to
so.
be telling
I hope
our
they make better music.
I honestly hope we're forming another one.
Yeah.
You know,
I hope they make better music than what's being made right now.
well, obviously,
That's for you,
there's-
Ellie.
It can't get any worse for modern music, I would say at this
that'll
point.
be this one right here. She's gonna have good music.
Ellie's gonna make great music
Yeah,
when she's
yeah.
older.
She's gonna be,
I really don't think, in that respect, it can get possibly any worse.
I will say she's 8 months old, and her favorite song is "Good Guys Don't Wear White" by Minor Threat. So
That's a
she's
great-
Yeah, she is on a good path right now. So
If you are,
Right now she's a little
if she's
crappy.
8 months and already digging Sir Ian Mackay, that is a great sign in this life.
All right, we're getting to the point where we're just talking about how cute Ellie is. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
probably going to be swinging
So-
it down.
But yeah, we probably are. That will probably happen.
Punk rock's coming back.
Well,
That's 'cause
because
of
the
us
thing is
talking.
that it happens every decade. There's like an uprising in popular culture when things change. It's just the last few didn't make sense to us because we were old.
So
Like
we're
the Strokes in them seem boring as hell to me, but there are kids who look at that time.
That first record is considered a classic.
Yeah, the people who look at that whole time as like equal to the punk revolution, the
The
Nirvana, like
or
like,
the 90s.
the one that
Yeah,
like the
you know-
Strokes and Interpol and all that in the early
Right,
2000s. They look at that as equal to late 70s, early 80s punk and late 80s, early 90s alternative. All those breakout periods of time in history. To me, that was just boring music about like banging and going to the club.
I don't know.
But
Personally,
some
I
people
find that offensive because if you
Yeah.
even compare something like the Strokes to like a 77
But
punk
look
band.
it up sometime. You look it up.
no,
People
I-
do think that way.
I completely
you can
agree
you
with
can
you,
find
but
articles where they talk about precisely that.
my point being is that I would
That
find
they
more
shouldn't.
interest in like
Yeah.
I don't know, the contents of a garbage can than a Strokes album. But
Well,
that's
and
just me.
and it's weird because they were all again. It was that that time of prosperity because they were all like rich kids, like Julian Casablancas and them. They were all like from upper class families, and like that was not cool when I was growing up. But that it became like accepted. What you started striving to be upper class again, whereas like if you were like rich and popular, that was the not good thing to be when I was in high school.
What were the TV shows when Nirvana got big? Was it Roseanne? Was
Yeah.
it shows about being broke?
Yeah.
largely.
I mean, Roseanne.
Because the only one that wasn't was the
thing
Cosby
that makes
Show.
me hope to
And
have
that-
hope is the people that made Roseanne made that. What's that show everyone likes? With the nerds.
Oh,
The Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
No, it is
But
kind of
those
swinging
guys
back
still make
towards.
a lot of money.
That's true, but it is largely it is swinging back towards working class. I mean, like I said, I can't get past season 2 of Breaking Bad. I keep trying, and maybe it'll get me eventually. But they are working class people, and we are swinging back in a cultural way towards working class people again. For a while there, like what we were after was wealth, and
You know,
that-
I think we
that was
said
what we
it, that
related
punk
to.
rock is going to be coming back, and we're going
20
to be
years.
teaching our kids to not suck. And
Actually, not even 20
you were
years.
talking about Interpol and some. A lot of those bands when you go back to, you see some. There were geniuses in the rough. Like the number one is the White Stripes guy. I don't like White Stripes music. Holy shit, is that guy important for music?
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean,
Well,
he
Jack
spends
White's
his
done a lot of
own.
important
Jack White. I mean, if someone told me to listen to a record, and was like,
Terrible.
"This is a record you want to listen to," and I didn't like any of the music on the record, but I remember he played a guitar thing, and you can hear the snares
Yeah.
rattle.
I know
from
what you're
the
talking
motion
about,
of the
yeah.
amp, and I was like, "Holy shit, they really were in the same room."
Mm-hmm.
And you never hear that in music. But like,
Well,
the
you don't
most,
do that in
most
modern
disheartening
music.
thing I've ever heard was that there was reading a magazine. The guy was remastering a Ramones record, and he was amazed because it was all click tracked out. The Ramones didn't play together on a lot of those records.
Well, they did hate each other.
And they actually, Dee Dee had his own track to do the 1, 2, 3, 4. It wasn't just, it was like the thing. You just got to get Dee Dee in to count the 1, 2, 3, 4s. We're going to use the metronome, but
One thing I want to throw out here, this has really nothing to do with what we're talking about. I've noticed this. I noticed it with the White Stripes first, and I've seen it with a number of bands. I like to think of it as the White Stripes phenomena, where when the White Stripes first came out, they released their album, and every review I read of it, because I worked at a gas station at the time and I saw all those magazines, and every review said that it's not a great album, but this is a band that will someday make a great album. That's what every review said. Every subsequent White Stripes album was them talking about how they couldn't seem to get past the pure genius of their first album. And they're this band that never quite made greatness, but everybody just started assuming greatness about them at some point. And it's the same thing you see with like a guy like Kanye West. His artistic stature is based entirely on a marketing plan. Like he's never actually done anything, but everybody thinks that he did. Everybody
like
attributes importance to him that he's never earned.
So he's like a modern day like Zaza Gabor. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Nobody has any
and
idea.
surprisingly enough, he finds his marriage with Kim Kardashian, the person who is emblematic of weightless celebrity.
could we completely alienate our whole audience and ask the question, is Sonic Youth our generation's White Stripes?
Yeah. A band that everybody remembers as being more important than they were.
That they were the best no wave band.
Yeah.
Right, hands down. They were inspired by the no wave generation. They were like the most important no wave band.
Right.
Were any of those songs like
Memorable?
yeah, like important? Were any of those songs that they took the no wave movement and they made it into something? I'm asking the question. Did Sonic Youth do it, or was the entire no wave movement just up their own ass and just it will never be important?
That's a good question. I don't know that enough about the rest of the band. Sonic Youth is pretty much the only one I'm that familiar
We're
with.
gonna end.
But
there.
that's a good connection between them and the White Stripes. That's a band that-
We're gonna offend everyone and say the great Sonic Youth was our generation's White Stripes.
It was
anyway,
a band
last
given-
week Nick had the song "I'm Only Taking It" this week because the Ultrasounds came out with a new record, and we're gonna be playing some
I didn't
Ultrasounds.
know that. Awesome.
It's out.
I gotta hear that.
Anyway, episode 2, Mike Devine, Nick and Alex at Dicks with Friends. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Bye. Dude, totally. Krista, you should join in on these.